Now you can also change your view when you jump. For example, let's ask for just an outline view. Okay, how about one more level of detail and turn off those blank lines that are showing between paragraphs. Okay. How about one more level of detail and turn off that numbering. And voila. Now notice the shortcut codes next to each of the options. These are for turning the option on or off, and you just type the letter straight in it's not a command key or a control key. So for blank lines, instead of clicking the box, I could enter a Y or a Z to turn them on or off. For numbering, instead of clicking the box, I could turn them on with an M and turn them off with an N. So let's try that. Y and Z for blank lines, M and N for numbering. I'll cancel this and we'll try it by hand. So blank lines on was Y. We could just type that in. Blank lines off was a Z. Numbering on was an M. Numbering off was an N. Now I can combine these. I can turn the blank lines back on. Or I could do them in any order. I could turn blank lines off. I could turn numbering on. Good. Let's see what else we can do. The outline view is controlled with an X for an outline and a W for an open view. And with your outline view, typing a B will add one more level of detail. So let's go try those. Cancel. And let's see. Open view is a W. Outline view is an X. One more level of detail, and while we're at it, let's turn the numbers off and let's get blank lines going between the paragraphs. And voila! Now please don't be intimidated by these shortcut codes, because typically a beginner user would have a lot more time to learn these, and they would basically be using the check boxes, and over time they would notice the shortcut codes, and over time they would gradually, the ones they use the most, they would start to learn and gradually evolve from there. So I'm taking you pretty quick on the learning curve. And the codes really are pretty easy to learn once you the more you use a system like this, especially once you realize how much more power and efficiency you get from remembering what those codes are. Also note there are lots of other view spec options besides the one shown. This is just the short form of the view spec dialog and for beginners. And you can also see how the user interface encourages users to learn the shortcuts, always encouraging to advance to greater levels of proficiency. That's one of the goals in Augment, and that's how we're boosting collective IQ in organizations, is to increase the proficiency and collective capability of your organization or network. Now there's one other view spec to look at here, and that was statement signatures. And what a statement signature is, basically an ID stamp, an author's ID stamp. Every time a paragraph is edited, insert, or modified, Augment keeps a timestamp on each paragraph. Now, if you were doing this over again, you would have a lot more timestamps associated with a paragraph. On Augment, it was designed only to just keep the last one, the last edit stamp. And so you can see Douglas Carl Engelbart in 1983, Christina Engelbart in 1994, and here's one in 2007. Okay. This is a very powerful feature that allows you to come into a document and say, okay, what was changed since I was last here? And you can set a filter and see, oh, okay, so-and-so was in here and made these changes. And you can go in the source code and say, okay, this source code was running on Friday just fine, and now it's not running, so what has changed? And you can go in and look, and you can see who the culprit was. So the Wikipedia has something like this in the timestamp of the edits, and this is per paragraph. I happen to know to turn it off is uppercase L. Let's turn it off. And let's go back to a open view with the numbers on.